The fire devoured the car, flames licking hungrily at the metal as thick black smoke spiraled into the night sky. Heat pressed against my face, but I didn't move, I couldn't. My brain struggled to catch up, to process what I was looking at. That was Tyler's car. And in the space of a heartbeat, everything clicked into place. Emily, Jim, Buddy, the so-called friend she swore meant nothing, the same guy I'd seen loitering in our driveway, smirking like he belonged here. A cold weight settled in my gut as my heart pounded against my ribs. I spun toward the house. The door wasn't even locked. My feet barely touched the ground as I shoved it open, breath coming fast, blood burning in my veins. Chaos greeted me, clothes scattered everywhere. A man's shirt draped lazily over the couch, a crumpled pair of jeans near the stairs, and there, in the middle of it all, a red dress, the same one she wore on our anniversary, discarded like it meant nothing. Upstairs, muffled voices. A giggle. My stomach twisted. I took the stairs 2 at a time and slammed the bedroom door open so hard it rattled on its hinges. Emily was tangled in the sheets, blonde hair spilling over her bare shoulders, lips parted in shock, guilt flashing in her wide eyes. Tyler was already scrambling, fumbling for his jeans, looking like a rat caught in a trap. The room reeked of perfume and sweat. She opened her mouth, but I wasn't interested in whatever lie she was about to spit out. My hand moved before I even realized what I was doing. The lamp flew across the room, shattering against the wall inches from Tyler's head. He flinched, arms up, stammering some excuse about a mistake. Emily clutched the sheets tighter, shaking her head, already preparing to twist the truth. I wasn't listening. This wasn't just betrayal. This was humiliation, right here, in my own house, in my own bed, with a man who had the nerve to act like he owned the place. I stepped forward, and for the first time in my life, I didn't give a damn about consequences. Tyler raised his hands, like that would stop me. Like that made up for the smirks, the little comments, the way he looked at me like I was the fool in all of this. My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms, my breath sharp and fast. Every muscle in my body screamed to tear this bastard apart. Emily moved first. Babe. That word snapped something inside me. I lunged. Tyler tried to duck, but he wasn't fast enough. My fist cracked against his jaw, sending him sprawling back onto the bed. He groaned, grabbing his face, but I wasn't finished. Wait, man, it's not. He barely got the words out before I drove a punch into his ribs. He doubled over, gasping for air. Emily shrieked. Stop it. Stop. She grabbed at my arm, nails biting into my skin. You're overreacting. I whipped toward her, chest heaving like I'd just run a marathon. Overreacting? My voice shook, not with fear, but with fury. You're standing half-naked in our bed with him, and I'm the one overreacting? She crossed her arms over her chest, shifting her weight like she was annoyed, like I was the one causing a scene. Look, it just happened, okay? You were gone, and I was lonely, and... A sharp, humorless laugh ripped out of me. Lonely? That's your excuse? I gestured toward Tyler, still groaning on the bed. So your solution was to call the biggest loser you could find and screw him in my house? Tyler coughed. Dude, I spun so fast he flinched. Shut your damn mouth before I break your teeth. He did. Emily rolled her eyes. Okay, you're being dramatic. I took a step toward her. I walked in on you cheating, in my house, in my bed, and you have the nerve to act like this is nothing? She let out an exaggerated sigh, like all of this was some huge inconvenience for her. I hit play. There she was, my wife, wrapped around Tyler like some high school fling sneaking kisses behind the bleachers. Whispering in his ear, giggling, straddling his lap in the damn break room like she didn't have a husband at home. My stomach turned, but my mind stayed sharp. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was proof I could use. Emily had no clue she'd just stepped onto a battlefield. The setup. An hour later, the plan was in motion. First, I gathered every last thing she owned, clothes, shoes, makeup, all of it, shoved them into trash bags without a second thought. She wasn't stepping foot back in this house, not even to grab a toothbrush. Then, I changed the locks. By the time she figured out she was locked out, I'd already be 3 steps ahead. Next came Tyler. I grabbed Emily's phone and typed out a message. "Hey, babe. Can we talk? Meet me at the place we always go. Need to clear my head." It was perfect. Cold. Calculated. Exactly the kind of manipulative text she'd actually send. 15 minutes later, he bit. "Of course, baby. See you soon. Red heart." I smirked. Idiot. The ambush. I got there first, slipping into the farthest booth of the dimly lit bar where Emily and Tyler thought they were being so damn sneaky. I'd been here before, alone, while she was out with the girls. Rick, the bartender, gave me a nod. He already knew the story. And right on time, Tyler strutted in. He scanned the bar, expecting to see Emily. Instead, his eyes locked onto mine. I watched as his entire expression shifted, confidence evaporating, smirk wiped clean. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. I gestured to the seat across from me. "Sit." For a second, he hesitated, like his brain was trying to figure out if running was an option. He must have realized it wasn't, because he nodded stiffly and lowered himself into the chair. He tried to play it cool. "Look, man, I slid my phone across the table. The screen lit up, frozen on a frame, Emily, curled in his lap, arms draped around his neck. His hands exactly where I knew they'd be. His face drained of color. I leaned in, voice low. "You're gonna do exactly what I say, or I swear, you'll regret ever stepping foot in my house." Tyler's eyes darted around, searching for an exit. "Man, I swear, I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I cut him off. "You're gonna break up with her. Publicly. Right now. You're gonna text her and tell her it's over, that she's not worth the trouble, and that she better not contact you again." His fingers twitched. "She's gonna be pissed." I tilted my head. "Not my problem, is it?" He hesitated. I grabbed my phone again and tapped the screen. The video switched to another clip, one from last week. Emily, slipping into the gym supply closet. With another guy. Not Tyler. His jaw clenched. I smirked. "Yeah, didn't think you were the only one, did you?" His face turned red with rage. Then, without another word, he pulled out his phone and started typing. A second later, the message was sent. 3 seconds after that, Emily's name flashed across his screen. She was calling. He looked at me. I shook my head. He let it ring. Then came the texts. "Emily, are you serious? What the hell? You don't get to dump me." Another. "Emily, you're nothing without me, you piece of trash." And another. "Emily, I swear to God, you'll regret this." I leaned back, watching it all unfold with quiet satisfaction. Good. Now get out of my sight. Tyler didn't need to be told twice. He bolted like his life depended on it. I stayed put, nursing my drink, watching as Emily's messages kept pouring in, one after another. She was unraveling. And I wasn't done yet. Her desperation practically bled through the screen. "Emily, you're making a huge mistake, Tyler. Emily, you really think you can just walk away from me? Emily, answer me." I chuckled, swirling the whiskey in my glass, watching the ice shift as the bartender, Rick, shot me a knowing look. Bad night? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Nah, I smirked, lifting my glass. Best night I've had in a long time. The phone kept buzzing, vibrating furiously on the table, demanding my attention. I let it shake itself to death before finally picking it up. With a few taps, I pulled up Emily's contact and sent a single message. Me, I know everything. Hope it was worth it. Then, without hesitation, I blocked her. I could picture it, her pacing, cursing, throwing things in a blind rage. Emily had always been a control freak, the kind of person who thrived on manipulation, bending people to her will like puppets on strings. And now? She had lost control completely. I tipped back the last sip of whiskey, tossed a few bills onto the bar, and walked out. I still had work to do. The aftermath hits. The call came the next morning, right on schedule. Not from my phone, Emily was still blocked. She had to get creative. Caller ID, unknown number. I let it ring twice before answering. Speak. For the first time in years, she actually sounded nervous. We need to talk. I almost laughed. Talk? About what? How you got caught screwing around. She sucked in a sharp breath. Don't be childish. Let's just sit down and discuss this like adults. Adults? I scoffed. You had your chance to be an adult, Emily. Maybe you should have thought about that before you spread your legs for Tyler. But sure, let's talk. Let's talk about how you're not getting a damn dime from me. Let's talk about how you're locked out of the house. Let's talk about... You can't do that, she snapped, her fake composure shattering in an instant. That house is mine too. No, it's not, I said, calm as ever. Not when you signed the prenup without reading it. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Delicious. Then a sharp exhale. You think you're so smart, she hissed. You think you've won. I smiled. I don't think, Emily. I know. Her breathing was ragged, like she was barely holding it together. I swear, you're going to regret this. No, Emily, I said, voice steady. The only one with regrets here is you. And I hung up. Destroying her safety net. Time to cut off her lifelines. Emily wasn't just losing a husband, she was losing everything. First, I called the bank and removed her from our joint account. She wasn't touching another cent of my money. Then, I called my lawyer to make sure she had no legal claim to anything, house, cars, investments. Every last piece was locked down. And then, for fun, I made a few calls to mutual friends, the ones I knew had zero patience for cheaters. Me, just a heads up, if Emily reaches out for a place to stay, you might want to check under the bed for her next side piece. The replies came in fast. Mark, no *ing way she did that to you. What a snake. Tasha, I knew she was shady. I'll spread the word. She's not getting any sympathy from me. Jared, she's done. No one's gonna help her after this. Good. Emily lived for attention, validation, admiration. It fueled her, kept her going. Now, she was alone. The public meltdown. 2 days of glorious silence. No screaming. No lying. No sneaky glances at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. And then, she snapped. It started with a Facebook post. Emily Dawson, some people are so fake. After everything I've done, I get treated like garbage. Guess it's true what they say, never trust a man who acts perfect. He's just hiding his true self. The comments were brutal. Lisa, didn't you cheat? Brandon, LMAO, imagine trying to play the victim when you got caught. Sophie, this is embarrassing, girl. Just take the L and go. She tried to fight back, replying to a few comments, but the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots of her gym affair started circulating. Someone even posted the security footage. And just like that, the woman who once had everyone wrapped around her finger was left scrambling. This was just the beginning. By the next morning, her account was gone. I leaned back in my chair, stretching my arms with a satisfied sigh. Checkmate. The last play. A week later, the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. Madison, an old coworker of Emily's, sent me a message. Madison, hey, I don't know if you care, but Emily is trying to move in with Tyler. She's begging him to take her back. I grinned. Is she now? A second message popped up. Madison, he rejected her hard. Told her she was too much drama. I laughed, loud, genuine, the kind of laugh that came from deep in the chest. Tyler, the same smug bastard who thought sneaking around with another man's wife made him some kind of big shot, had dumped her too. Now, Emily had nothing. No husband. No lover. No money. No home. I sent one final text, using a burner number just for fun. Me, enjoy your new life, Emily. You built it yourself. No reply. But I knew she saw it. I put my phone down, took a deep breath, and stepped outside. The sun felt warmer, the air fresher. For the first time in years, I felt free. And I wasn't looking back. The silence was bliss, no more calls, no more screaming, no more fake apologies dripping with manipulation. Emily was gone. Wiped off the board. For days, I felt lighter. No more looking over my shoulder. No more lying awake at night wondering if the woman next to me was secretly laughing behind my back. But I wasn't done yet. The desperation spiral. Emily thought she could crawl back to Tyler, salvage some scrap of her old life. But when he tossed her aside like the used-up toy she was, she unraveled completely. It started small, random numbers trying to call my phone. I never answered. Then she showed up at my office. Big mistake. I was in the middle of a meeting when my receptionist buzzed in. Sir, your wife is here. She's making a scene. I leaned back, barely suppressing a grin. Ex-wife, right? Do you want me to call security? I pulled up the cameras. There she was, standing in the lobby, wild-eyed, wearing some cheap hoodie like she hadn't slept in days. She looked nothing like the woman who used to strut around like she owned the world. Pathetic. I made a quick call. 2 minutes later, security escorted her out, kicking and screaming. The next time she tried, she didn't even make it past the front desk. I had already put a restraining order in place. Emily Dawson was officially locked out of my life. The Public Meltdown, Part 2. Her downward spiral wasn't over yet. Desperate for control, she pulled another social media stunt, this time claiming I had abused her, controlled her, financially manipulated her. Too bad for her, I came prepared. I had receipts. Screenshots. Bank statements. Messages, to multiple guys, some dating back long before Tyler. I didn't even have to post them. My friends did the work for me. The moment she tried playing the victim, the floodgates opened. Jessica, girl, sit down. You cheated. Take the L. Mark, didn't you say your husband was too nice? LMAO, guess you miss him now. Anna, oh, honey, if you're going to lie, at least try harder. Her post lasted less than an hour before she deleted it. By the time I checked again, she was gone. Rock bottom. 2 weeks passed. I had almost forgotten about her. Then, out of nowhere, a text from Jared. Yo, you're not going to believe this. I smirked. Try me. He sent a screenshot. It was a GoFundMe link. Emily Dawson, starting over fund. I clicked. She was begging for money. The description was pure comedy gold. After a difficult and unexpected divorce, I have been left without a home or financial security. I need help getting back on my feet and finding a place to live. Every dollar helps. 0 donations. Checkmate. I burst out laughing. She was done, truly, completely, utterly done. No friends. No family willing to save her. No more safety net. Just consequences. My final move. That night, I leaned back in my chair, whiskey in hand, letting the moment settle. The last ember of her presence in my life was finally burning out. I pulled out my phone and, for the first time since this whole disaster began, unblocked her number. Her name popped up instantly. I typed out one final message. Me, you don't deserve a fresh start. You deserve every single thing that's happened to you. Have a nice life, Emily. Then, with a satisfied smirk, I blocked her again. I exhaled, feeling the last remnants of her grip on my life shatter into nothing. Emily Dawson was just a memory now. And I had never felt better. Rebuilding myself. For the first time in years, I had peace. No more lies. No more late nights wondering if the woman beside me was where she said she was. No more gut-wrenching doubt. Just silence. And I loved it. Work was smoother. My workouts felt stronger. Hell, I even started going out again, meeting new people, testing the waters of what life could be like without a cheating parasite draining the life out of me. But snakes don't just disappear. They slither back when they're starving. The final attempt. A month passed. Not a word from Emily. I assumed she had finally crawled back into whatever gutter she belonged in. Then, one evening, my phone lit up. Unknown number, hey, can we talk? I stared at the message, feeling nothing. I knew exactly who it was. I didn't reply. A few minutes later, another message. Unknown number, I just need to see you. Please. She had to be kidding. I blocked the number without a second thought and tossed my phone onto the couch. But it didn't stop there. The next morning, I stepped outside to grab my coffee from the porch, and there she was. Sitting on my steps. Like she belonged there. Her hair was a mess, the once flawless face that used to demand attention now hollow, tired. She was drowning in an oversized hoodie, probably stolen from one of her many friends. For a moment, she just stared at me, eyes glassy, like she was about to cry. I took a slow sip of my coffee. Leave. She swallowed hard. Can we just? No. She hesitated. I don't have anywhere to go. I stared at her, deadpan. Sounds like a you problem. Her lips trembled. I made a mistake. I actually laughed, a real, genuine laugh. A mistake? Oh, which part? The part where you humiliated me? The part where you got caught screwing another guy in our bed? Or maybe the part where you tried to play the victim when the world turned against you? She shifted, wrapping her arms around herself like that would protect her. I didn't mean for things to go this way. I rolled my eyes. Yeah, I bet. Let me guess, you thought you'd get away with it. That I'd just forgive and forget like some spineless idiot. She bit her lip. I miss you. There it was, the final, desperate play. I smirked. You don't miss me, Emily. I took a step forward, my voice sharp, deliberate. You miss the life I gave you. The comfort. The security. The house. The money. The status. You don't miss me. You miss what I provided. She shook her head. That's not true, I cut her off. Emily, I said, locking eyes with her. I don't want you. You mean nothing to me. The words hit like a slap. Her eyes widened, lips parting like she couldn't believe I actually meant it. I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice. Go crawl back to one of your boyfriends. Oh, wait, I smirked. They don't want you either, do they? Tears pooled in her eyes. And I felt nothing. She whispered, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. I smiled. I know. Then I stepped back. And shut the door in her face. The end of Emily Dawson. I didn't watch her leave. Didn't check if she was crying, if she was angry, if she was just standing there, hoping I'd change my mind. Because I didn't care. Emily Dawson was out of my life for good. The final chapter. I sat on the couch, staring at the door she had just stood in front of, her final, desperate words still hanging in the air. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah, no sh. She actually thought those words would change something, that I'd see the regret in her eyes, feel sorry for her, maybe even let her back in. Not a chance. The moment I shut that door, I knew, it was the last time she would ever step foot in my life. I grabbed my phone, pulled up the security cameras. She was still there. Standing on the porch, arms wrapped around herself like a lost puppy. Pathetic. No backup plan. No safety net. Every man she had used, manipulated, tossed aside like garbage, they had all done the same to her in the end. Karma's a B***, isn't it, Emily, ***. I let her stand there, let her soak in the reality she had created for herself. Then, I made a call. Yeah, I need someone escorted off my property. 15 minutes later, a black SUV rolled up. 2 guys stepped out, both built like brick walls. Emily's eyes widened. She got the message. She turned, hurried down the driveway, and disappeared down the street. I leaned back into the couch, exhaling slowly. That was it. The final nail in the coffin. She was gone for good. Moving forward without her. The days after? Peace. No unknown calls. No cryptic texts. No dramatic public meltdowns. I changed my routines, picked up the things I'd put on hold for too long. Boxing. Late-night drinks with actual friends. No more fake dinner dates where I had to pretend not to notice my wife constantly checking her phone. I even started talking to someone new. Nothing serious, just testing the waters. A bartender at one of my usual spots, dark hair, bright eyes, 0 red flags. The kind of woman who didn't play games. For the first time in years, I felt like me again. Emily's final act of desperation. But snakes don't die easy. A few weeks later, just when I thought I'd seen the last of her, Emily found a new angle. I was at work when my lawyer called. She's filing for spousal support. I actually laughed out loud. Are you serious? Dead serious, he sighed. She's claiming financial hardship, stating she was emotionally manipulated into signing the prenup. I smirked. So she's broke and desperate. Got it. She was grasping at straws now. Too bad I was 10 steps ahead. Let her try, I said. The prenup is ironclad. Exactly, my lawyer agreed. This won't even make it to court. She really thought she could pull a last-minute money grab. Emily had no case. No evidence. Nothing. But she still wasn't done. Her last miserable play. The next morning, I woke up to another text from an unknown number. Unknown, can we please just talk? One last time. I stared at the screen for a second, then did something I hadn't done in a while. I replied. There's nothing left to say. Her response came fast. Emily, I messed up. I know that. But I've changed. I just need help getting back on my feet. I smirked. There it was. She didn't miss me. She missed what I could do for her. Not my problem, Emily. Emily, please. Just one conversation. Meet me anywhere you want. Just 5 minutes. I sighed, debating. Maybe it was better to end this face to face. Maybe if she saw me, if she realized just how little I cared anymore, she'd finally give up. So, I agreed. Fine. One last time. The final goodbye. We met at a small cafe, one that used to be her favorite. She was already there when I walked in, sitting in the corner, looking smaller than I remembered. The moment she saw me, she forced a smile. Hey. I sat down without a word. Her hands fidgeted on the table. You look good. I leaned back in my chair. Cut to the chase. Her lips pressed together. I just want to say I'm sorry. I tilted my head, unimpressed. For what, exactly? She swallowed hard. For everything. For taking you for granted. For lying. I held up a hand. Save it. Her face twisted in frustration. I'm trying here. I exhaled sharply. No, you're not. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you lost. Her eyes flared. That's not true. I scoffed. It is, though. If I took you back, if I handed you money, if I gave you everything you lost, you'd forget this conversation ever happened. Silence. She didn't deny it. I stood up. This was a mistake. She grabbed my wrist, desperation flickering in her eyes. Wait. Please. Just tell me one thing. I stared down at her. What? Her voice was barely a whisper. Do you ever think about what we had? Do you miss it? I smiled, not a warm smile, but a cold, final one. No. Not even for a second. Her face crumbled. I pulled my arm away and walked out. She didn't follow. She didn't call my name. She just sat there, staring after me, finally realizing it was over for good. I didn't look back. Walking out of that cafe, I felt lighter. Not just from this meeting. Not just from the past few months of chaos. But from years of carrying a relationship that had been dead long before I caught her cheating. Emily was officially a ghost, a lingering shadow of a mistake I had long since outgrown. And she knew it too. There were no more texts. No more calls. No more last-ditch attempts to weasel her way back into my life. That cafe meeting had been her final gamble, and when she saw my eyes, saw how completely indifferent I was, she knew she had lost for good. Rebuilding myself. The funny thing about cutting out a toxic person? You don't realize how much space they took up in your mind until they're gone. For the first time in years, I started focusing on me. I rebuilt my habits, my routines, my life. I got back into boxing, the feeling of hitting a bag, the rhythmic sound of gloves slamming against leather. It grounded me, made me feel in control again. I upgraded my life, new wardrobe, new car, new home office that actually felt like mine. Little things. But they mattered. They reminded me I wasn't living in her shadow anymore. And yeah, I started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just casual conversations, meeting new people, rediscovering what it felt like to be appreciated. No trust issues. No paranoia. No hidden motives. For the first time in a long damn time, I felt free. Emily's downfall, the final update. Months passed. Life moved on. And then, out of nowhere, I got one last update on Emily. It came from Madison, her old coworker. Madison, you're going to want to hear this. I raised an eyebrow, leaning back in my chair. Me, what's up? Madison, Emily got fired. It's bad. I smirked. Me, for what? Being a terrible human? Madison, close. She got caught stealing from the company. Some shady expense reports. They called her in, gave her a chance to explain, and she completely lost it. Started screaming at HR, said they were out to get her. Security had to escort her out. Her final fall. I burst out laughing. It was too perfect. She thought she was untouchable, that she could lie, manipulate, and cheat her way through life forever. But reality had finally caught up with her. She had lost everything, her husband gone, her lover done with her reputation in the dirt, her job terminated. All that remained was the wreckage of the life she had destroyed with her own hands. My last thought about her. I stared at the message for a long moment, then I smiled, not out of malice, not out of revenge, just satisfaction. She got exactly what she deserved. And me? I had never been better. I moved on. I thrived. I won. Emily Dawson? She was just a name I used to know. And that was the last time I ever thought about her. A life without her. With Emily completely out of my life, I could finally breathe. The weight of her betrayal, the lies, the manipulation, all of it was gone. I had rebuilt myself, piece by piece, and now I was stronger than ever. I focused on my career, my health, my friendships. And yeah, I started dating again. But this time, with a clear head and no baggage. The bartender I mentioned before? Her name was Claire. She was everything Emily wasn't: kind, genuine, honest. We took things slow. No games, no mind tricks, no paranoia. For the first time in years, I was in a relationship that was actually worth my time. And it was refreshing. Emily's final downfall. Months turned into a year, and Emily barely crossed my mind. But every now and then, I'd hear something about her through the grapevine. Apparently, after losing her job, she spiraled even further. She tried to crawl back to Tyler, he wanted nothing to do with her. She bounced from one friend's couch to another, burning bridges wherever she went. Until she ran out of people to leech off. The last I heard? She had moved back in with her parents, who were less than thrilled to have her. She tried to reinvent herself in a new city. But her reputation followed. No one would hire her. No one wanted to deal with her. She was a ghost of the woman she once was, arrogant, manipulative, always looking for the next fool to use. But I didn't care. Her life was no longer my problem. The final closure. One evening, as I sat on my porch with Claire, sipping a drink and watching the sunset, my phone buzzed. It was an email from my lawyer. Emily had officially dropped her spousal support claim. She had no case, and she knew it. The email ended with a simple line. Consider this matter closed. I smiled and put my phone away. Claire glanced at me, curious. Good news? I leaned back in my chair, feeling the kind of peace I hadn't known in years. The best. It was finally over. Emily Dawson was no longer a part of my life. She was a chapter one had closed, a lesson I had learned, a mistake I had moved on from. The new beginning. As for me, I was thriving. My career was on fire, my friendships were stronger than ever, and I had found someone who actually deserved my time and energy. Claire and I weren't in a rush, but for the first time in forever, I was in a healthy, happy place. I had learned a lot from Emily. I learned to trust my instincts. I learned to value myself. I learned to never settle for someone who didn't respect me. And most importantly, I learned that the best revenge is simply living well. And that's exactly what I was doing. The last word. Emily Dawson was a storm I had weathered. But I came out stronger on the other side. She thought she could break me. But instead, she gave me the push I needed to rebuild my life into something better. As I sat on that porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. The past was behind me. The future was wide open. And for the first time in a long damn time, I was excited to see what came next.